10 people have been arrested at an anti-lockdown protest in Melbourne. Victoria is the last state to relax its tight restrictions as it deals with an outbreak at the Cedar Meats abattoir. The demonstrators are pushing several conspiracy theories, including the spread of coronavirus being linked to 5G technology. Medical experts leading the fight against the disease have dismissed their theories as unsupported and dangerous.
There's unfortunately a lot of very silly misinformation out there. There is absolutely no evidence about 5G doing anything in the coronavirus space. I haven't, unfortunately, received a lot of communication from these conspiracy theorists myself. It is complete nonsense.
It's incredibly disappointing that people would be protesting, somehow seeking to suggest that we do not have a pandemic. You know, but they just need to go and turn on the news and look at what's happening in the United States at the moment, in the United Kingdom, in so many parts of Europe. You know, those people know that that this pandemic is not fake news.
The disinformation that's being spread on the coronavirus and COVID-19 is having a devastating effect in hospitals across the country. A doctor here in New York telling NBC News that dealing with conspiracy theories is the second most painful thing I've had to deal with, other than separation of families from their loved one. The doctor has now stopped engaging with the trolls on Facebook, some of whom claim the hospitals are empty and the virus was part of a plot to vaccinate or microchip US. Other medical professionals are calling on social media companies to do more to stop the disinformation from spreading. Quote, I do think it's a monumental task to hold these companies to account, but in the COVID case, they truly have blood on their hands. NBC reporter who wrote about all this, Ben Collins, joins me now. Ben, what motivated you to do this piece?
A guy reached out to me and said, I am having a hard time dealing with this, frankly. You know, this doctor came to me and he said, in very blunt terms, frankly, like, I don't know how to deal with this. He was in an argument with a guy on Facebook, or several people on Facebook, who told him he wasn't a real doctor, that the hospitals were empty. And he said, you know, I have 200 people in my ICU. This is happening. And then he went outside and he heard the cheer at 7 o'clock that we all hear every day in New York City. And he just broke down and cried because he didn't know what reality was at this point. He just didn't know. He had no real idea. And that's the larger problem here, is that we have this, you know, we have these systems set up that reward these bad guys going after these doctors. There's no real way to stop this because the bad guys have rigged this system to make it so those messages that they use to push things like supplements or just political messages, those go to the top. Those go to the doctors when they get home from these tough shifts. And they don't see all the rewards that you would traditionally see because, you know, Facebook and Twitter and YouTube, they reward engagement and they reward hostility.
And so what they're rewarding right now are insane, baseless conspiracy theories that have sort of taken root, that, you know, doctors coming home from watching their patients die, trying to fight the disease, and coming home to social media and sometimes like family members or friends or people they know telling them that the whole thing was some, you know, plot by Bill Gates to, you know, I don't know, implant chips in people or depopulate the world, whatever nonsense is going on. But those are high-ranking, high-engagement stories across Facebook and other platforms.
Yeah, and look, this makes sense, right? We are in a time of chaos, basically. We are in a time where people's trust in institutions and various different things has gone away, and their livelihoods have changed. The way they live their lives have changed. So instead of, you know, embracing that ambiguity and looking for answers that are realistic, they go to the easy ones. They go to the simple ones, and the simple ones are things they can see. So, you know, if you talk to conspiracy theory researchers, they call conspiracy theorists the last believers in an ordered universe. They always try to look for boogeymen. They always look for somebody like Bill Gates, who everyone knows, right? Everyone knows Bill Gates. And if they can say that he did this and everyone can point to him and say, if we get rid of Bill Gates, then everything's fixed. Everything's, you know, all of this is over. All this staying at home is over. But it doesn't really work like that. We know this. It's, you know, science is a lot more complicated than just Bill Gates doing something or a 5G tower doing something. And that's the scary part, is that these bad guys, these traditional conspiracy theorists who are preying on these people at home on Facebook and YouTube all day, they are creating these small armies, and the people in the small armies don't know, but they are really hurting these doctors.
Well, and there are real public health effects here, right? I mean, and there's a responsibility for the platforms. There's this letter dozens of doctors have signed on to, an open letter calling on Facebook and Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter to detox the algorithms that decide what people say and correct the record on health misinformation. I mean, how have these platforms approached this? How have they dealt with this?
They have taken some steps, and the problem that we see over and over again is that these things go viral and then they sort of like rein it back in. Today there was a video on YouTube or Facebook, and if you have somebody in your life who's chronically addicted to YouTube or has like Facebook brain, I think is the technical term for it, they will have seen this thing called Plandemic, which is this awful YouTube video saying, "Don't wear your mask; it gives you coronavirus." This terrible stuff that is impossible to be true. I know. And the issue is that this stuff goes viral first and then they correct it. What we need is actor-based enforcement. People who, none of these people that are pushing that video are new here, right? They are people who are constants in these anti-vax communities. They have been here for years and years. They are just packaging this together first time around coronavirus theme. And since it goes around that coronavirus theme, it feels new, feels to these people, and then they can push it again on Facebook and YouTube.
Ben Collins, who did some great reporting on this for us and has been following this story throughout. Thank you so much.